So, we've been metal reviews. Keeping it real here in 2013, February, the month of love, and Black History Month. And when the fuck is Shark Week?
I thought saying Sunday.
Okay. We're here with a new list. We did our deathcore bands. Now we're going to do our deathcore albums. Want to just complete the whole shebang, you know? So we're here with 5. We're slowly getting smaller numbers because we just like to talk, and it ends up being really long. So we're going to do our top 5 favorite. This is personal opinion. If there's an album missing, there probably is going to be. You know, just fuck. Sorry. But let us know what album is missing. So Sam can start.
My number 5 is it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. I'll admit it's not the best album, but I had Malevolence from I Declare War. It really is a decent album. A couple times I'll find myself, you know, hey, I want to listen to 1, maybe 2 songs from this album. It's because I want something really heavy, and it really is all out the heaviest album that I own, that I've ever listened to. In all honesty, yeah, there's really heavy stuff, you know, but to me, this is just the all-out heaviest album I've listened to. Instrumentally and vocally, John Huber is just, he really goes all out on this album with the brutality. I've never heard a more brutal vocalist, straight up brutal. Phil Bozeman is not as brutal as John Huber, in my opinion. When he does his I Declare War, vocals, not his inhales, it's just so, it hits me right in a spot, a certain spot of mine, and it's just, it really is an album that made my list. But I'll admit it has its faults and stuff, but I just can't help but love this album. And like I said, I want to listen to 1 or 2 songs from it, and then I'll end up listening to the whole album, just put it on repeat and listen to the whole thing, usually 3 or 4 times. That's my number 5.
What's my number 5? I had There Will Be Violence by Impending Doom. Holy shit, Tyler has an Impending Doom album on his list, and yeah, this album is amazing. To me, this is by far, and always will be, Impending Doom's best album. I find their first album to be very boring, their second album to be kind of boring, and their new album to be kind of boring, but this album is not fucking boring at all. This album really just hits you where it hurts. There Will Be Violence is just like Mac with a hammer. It's insane. That song, I just, every time I listen to it, it gets to me just all the time, how ferocious and how amazing the vocals are. I mean, I love the vocals of this band. He's fantastic with everything he does to me. Definitely, probably the best part of this band. But this album is just so fucking heavy, dude. I mean, every song, I don't find this album to be uninteresting in any way. Every song is just so fucking killer. I mean, this album is just, has so much energy. It's just like a fucking ball of energy the entire way through. Some really crushing breakdowns, some really engaging riffs, and some excellent drumming. I love the drumming on this album. I mean, this is overall a very top-notch deathcore album to me. So yeah. For number 4, I had This Is Where It Ends by All Shall Perish. To me, by far, anything that All Shall Perish has ever done. I mean, by far the best. That was stupid. This album to me just goes above and beyond everything they've ever done. Their previous 2 albums before that, Awaken the Dreamers and The Price of Existence, they're fantastic. I still listen to them a lot, but when I think All Shall Perish, I think of this album. Because they just stepped it up in every way. The riffs, oh my god, the riffs on this album, it's just fucking unbelievable. The melodies that they use. This album's so dark. It's just so gloomy. And Eddie Hermida, I think that's what his name is, one of the greatest deathcore vocalists, or extreme metal vocalists in general. I mean, he's just fantastic. His range, his brutality, his uh, piercing high screams. I mean, they're just fantastic. His lyrics, I love the lyrics on this album. They're just so thoughtful, and I love them. Um, you know, this album just really just hit everything on the head. I mean, it's All Shall Perish on all cylinders. The guitar work is fantastic. The drumming just is so fun to listen to. This is just a fun album. This is a heavy album. This is a technical album. This is just one of the greatest slabs of deathcore that you'll find. So yeah.
Very groovy.
Yeah, definitely.
I had trouble. I'm glad we made the list 5 because I didn't want to put, more than one album from each band. So I really narrowed it down, and I had some deep thinking sessions myself. And my favorite album from this band, I'm going to put it at number 4, is A New Era of Corruption from Whitechapel. I think that, it's not their best album. They may not, show their maturity at songwriting at its best, or it may not be the most all-out deathcore brutal one, but it's my favorite. It's because this was the first album that I really got into from this band, or that I don't know why I said really. The first album that I got into from this band was A New Era of Corruption, and it's very underrated. A lot of the songs may be forgetful. It really, every song, when you really listen to it, have these parts, like, how did I never notice that before? If I really listened to that, that's just extremely cool. Like, Breeding Violence, the whole song is just incredible. And Darkest Day of Man is a song that I forget a lot, because, I never listened to it a lot, but, not too long ago I was listening to this album, and it just really hit me how good a lot of the songs are. Unnerving. Even Necromechanical, which I feel is like, it's underrated on the album, but it's definitely not the best song on the album. It still brings a lot of heaviness, and, just the way it kicks in, the just brutality and downright just darkness of this album. This is the darkest album from Whitechapel, in my opinion. It just gives me this feeling of like depression and just like Transylvania, and it always being cloudy, and never seeing the sun ever, and it's just like some silent horror film or something like that. It's just depressing. And End of Flesh, that song especially, it just makes me, I don't know, just the imagery that I get is so depressing and horrifying, and it's such a good album. It's definitely my favorite when I really think about it from Whitechapel. My number 3 is In Dreams by After the Burial. It is an amazing album. I had a hard time before trying to label this band to a certain genre. They have elements of like progressive metal and metalcore and deathcore and Pineapple Under the Sea core. And they have every kind of like metal. They have like a wide range of everything that they do. But I'm including my deathcore list. In Dreams is like, it's hard to describe. Insane guitaring, whether it's My Frailty, where it's just sick guitaring, or it's Your Troubles Will Cease and Fortune Will Smile Upon You, where it's just like this simple, like groove, and it's very consistent, and it's like almost Meshuggah-y, where it's just constant, but it seems so simple, but it's so heavy and so good. At first you're like, okay, that's just really boring, and it's, they keep doing that, but when you really listen to it, it's really good, and it will stick in your head. And the seventh track, I always forget the name, but oh wait, I know it now. No, I don't know. It's the seventh track off that album. I've been so bad with song names lately, but it's the seventh track. It's one of the best tracks off the album. It has Trent doing like clean singing, and Anthony's vocals have the production has improved so much as Rare Form, and Anthony's vocals and the whole band has just improved so much since Rare Form. It's an amazing album, amazing guitar work, and it gives you, the lyrics are so deep too. You know, there is no lacking on the lyrics. The lyrics are very good in my opinion, and it's just a very good album. It's hard to describe. It gives you such a nice feeling, and it's so diverse. You know, it has so many elements of so many different genres and so many different types of riffs, and it's like they didn't even use like the same thing twice on the album, which is hard for some bands to do. Like, you'll think, oh, that sounds similar to this, but it's like everything has its own feeling. Every song has its own feeling, where it's really heavy and fast and just like, you know, really circle pit-y, I guess. Or if it's Your Troubles Will Cease, where it's, you know, bounce up and down, or headbang, or My Frailty, where Trent and Justin, like, they hook up with that solo, and it's just mind-blowing. They have solos, and they have riffs, and they have incredible drumming. You know, it's an album definitely in its own. I've never heard an album quite like it before, or like it much at all. In dreams.
Number 3, I had The Heartbringer by Molotov Solution. Holy shit, I wish this band never died and, you know, broke up and went away. This band is fucking phenomenal, and this album really just proves it. The first time I heard this album in this band, I just had this on repeat over and over and over again. I couldn't stop listening to it. It's so good. You can say it's kind of like Whitechapel-like in ways, and I would definitely agree with you. They definitely have the Whitechapel type sound with a very thick and nasty guitar tone, with very brutal and very engaging and up in your face vocals. This band's very very political in their vocals, in their lyrics, I mean, which is very interesting to me. I really like it. I love just the overall guitar work, and some of the grooves on this album is just like, fuck, dude. I mean, it's just awesome, you know, like Kieran. Fuck, dude. But shit. The last song, I think it's the longest song on the album. That song blows my mind every time I listen to it. It is very, very well written. All these songs are just so well written. None of them are too long or too short. They have so much meat to them. This entire album does. And very crushing breakdowns, very just insane lead work sometimes. It's just like, holy shit. So yeah, The Heartbringer by Molotov Solution, definitely check that out. If you've never listened to it, or that band. Number 2,
Promises Kept. That's the song I was thinking of by After the Drive.
there you go. Number 2, I might wet some panties and make people mad, but I don't give a shit. Chelsea Grin's My Damnation. This album just never gets old to me. This is just an insane fucking album. It really is. Just the soloing, the riffs, the breakdowns, the vocals, the drums. This album has it all when it comes to deathcore to me. And Alex Kohler's new vocal style that he took on this album is just so great. It's so leagues and miles and fucking astronomical units above Desolation of Eden. This one thing I love about this album is that they wrote songs. I mean, the songwriting on this is phenomenal. I mean, where the song goes is where it should have went. I mean, it's awesome. The sound just, it's flows. It has great production. It really is everything that you want in a deathcore album to me. I still listen to it all the time to this day. I mean, it just never gets old. I mean, there's so many great songs. Everlasting Sleep, the title track. Fucking, damn it, it's not coming to me. Oblivion, I believe? No. I fucking forget. I don't know.
Calling Silence.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, that one's a good one. Fucking shit. It's towards the end of the album.
All Hell Falling King.
That one's a good one,
My
too.
Last Breath.
Yeah.
Which
That's it. My Last Breath. What the fuck am I thinking? I don't even know.
Oblivion's like the groovy one.
Yeah, Oblivion. Yeah. I feel like a dumbass right now, but seriously, every song on here is phenomenal. With this album, Chelsea Grin completely exceeded my expectations. It's just, I love this album. Period. I'm kind of rambling on at this point. So yeah. Go.
My number 2 is actually the same as Tyler's, My Damnation from Chelsea Grin. Tyler said a lot of it, and I feel a lot of people don't like this band because they don't like how simple they seem, but that doesn't really matter when you listen to the album. Everything sounds so perfect. I mean, you can make the simplest thing and it could sound bad, or you can make something simple that sounds perfect. And this album is definitely everything from beginning to end. I feel that every song, every part of every song goes where it should go. It leads into what it should lead into. The transitions into what, it leads into. The style, the breakdown, the guitar tone, everything. It's just, it appeals to me. Every single thing on this album appeals to me. Whether it's, their breakdowns, just the way that, I always say this about Chelsea Grin, Andrew, I hate, or I strongly dislike that he left the band. It's so horrible because he's one of the best drummers in my opinion. He made everything sound great in my opinion. Yeah, the guitars, the riffs, the breakdowns, they were cool, but Andrew just put this extra spin on it that was so, I loved it. This album, it definitely has its cool things too, like Alex Kohler, the small things, the way he says winter wind in Calling in Silence, the way he just puts this like, on it, and it sounds so, like a death shriek. It's so, this is also what I'm going to get into next, the feeling the album gives you. It's not the typical deathcore feeling where it's like, oh yeah, that's heavy, it's about dying. The lyrics have depth to them. It's not just this two-dimensional album. It's like the lyrics are really deep when you read them. They're very good. Some of them are about like, the foolish one like taking over the world or something like that. I'm sure there's more to it than just that, but like some of the lyrics you can really, like My Last Breath. That song, like the lyrics are so relatable, and just the music itself. I was about to say Matthew Stafford. Michael Stafford is like a genius, and I hope he joins another band someday. But that guy is a genius. He had a large hand in writing that album, and it just turned out so amazing to me. Their guitar tone is so one of a kind. I feel like that no other album has sounded like that. They're deathcore. You think like, oh, these fast blast beats and like these like boom breakdowns that just ring out forever. They don't do that. They're very like slow and heavy and like just like gritting your teeth the whole time, and it's like so, just like grinding and just magnificent. And there's no other album like it, instrumentally or vocally. And it's such a shame that Alex Kohler's like vocals are like so shot now, and it just, I don't know if he'll ever sound like that again. Just because I've been watching, like, I've watched some live videos recently, and he sounds like Alvin the Chipmunk trying to like do death metal vocals, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a shame. Probably like the alcohol or something, I don't know. But my number one album is a typical deathcore number one album, kind of funny. But I had No Time to Bleed from Suicide Silence, and this definitely has nothing to do with the fact that Mitch Lucker passed away. You know, I'll say that just from the beginning because people will be like, oh, you're just saying that because he died and now you have all this respect for them. I've had respect for them for a long time. And at one point, I really idolized this band. I would say they were definitely one of my favorite bands. I idolized just Mitch Lucker's ability, his talent, and, you know, this album is definitely their breakthrough album. It, you know, The Cleansing was cool, but this album, it has so many trademarks. It really brought everything together and just, it's like everything falls into place. You know when you're having those good days where everything just falls into place, like you're walking down the sidewalk and you find a $20 bill just laying there, and then you go to spend that $20 on something, and it turns out whatever you're buying is free, and then you get accepted to college, and you know, it's just everything falls into place. And there's so many things on this album that the second someone will hear it, they will be automatically, that's Suicide Silence. Whether it be Mitch Lucker's legendary vocals, or the classic Suicide Silence, like chugging, and then the blast beat, you know, like just the way they combine to make it, you know, so, you know, it sounds so right, in my opinion. This is why it's my favorite album. It sounds so right. It's hard to describe, and that's the best way I can describe it. It sounds right. It sounds correct. It sounds where it should be. It sounds lovely, the way it is. You know, you can't describe what, you know, birds sound like in the morning when you hear waterfall and birds. You can't describe that to someone. Just like you can't really describe this. It just sounds so beautiful and right and nice. You know, just the way they, like, you know, the chug and the blast beat. The blast beat, the drums have their own sound. I've never heard an album with drums sounding like that. The snare sounds so magnificent, and this album is definitely its own album. You know it. There's not another album that sounds like this. And there could be deathcore bands that try to rip off Suicide Silence for years to come, and they can't do it anything. Even if they cover every song off this album, it won't sound like this album. This album is just, from beginning to end, every song has a little bit of its own feeling, you know? Like, they're not too different, like every song is completely different, but every song just really gives you a different feeling. You can tell them apart. It's not like you get bored, at least for me. I mean, every song just gives me a different feeling. It gives me something, like, to know it. Like, I'm just sitting there listening. I know that song. That's Suffer. I know that song. That's Wasted. You know, it's, even if it's in the middle of the song with a riff that no one pays attention to, I still know it, just because I've listened to this album, I don't even know, easily 100 times, I would say. So, I mean, I know this album front to back, and it's just, it's my favorite deathcore album. So, there's that. It's my favorite, I guess. I'm saying all that stuff, it's my opinion, it's my favorite.
Wake Up. That's Suicide Silence. No. What's my number one, if you care? My number one is, This Is Exile by Whitechapel. Typical, you know.
We have typical deathcore though.
That's because they're good albums, man. This album's like a giant ball sack smacking your face the entire time. The entire time this album has its presence around you, it's beating the shit out of you. And it doesn't stop, and it doesn't want to stop. This album really just kills you the entire way. I mean, Every time I hear Possession, still to this day, it gives me chills when the epic, middle part where the lyrics go, "We are the disease," it's just, it blows my mind. Or that really just wicked fucking lead over the breakdown towards the beginning. It's like, damn. I mean, this album is just so furious. It's so pissed off. It's so aggressive. I love it. Phil Bozeman just sounds so raw and dirty. He's just a phenomenal vocalist, and the riffage and the breakdowns. I mean, this is to me the heaviest Whitechapel album. To me, it has a production that the Somatic Defilement lacked, but it's not super polished like their new stuff. It's right in the middle. It's raw, but it's not, and I love that. This album just has so many classic Whitechapel songs that they still play in their set. They still play a good 3 or 4 of them in their set every fucking time. The title track, Possession, Eternal Refuge, Father of Lies, To All Their Dead, Misabolical. I love this album. God damn it. I'm just going to keep rambling at this point, and I know that's a very just short description of my number one, and why it's my number one, but it's near perfect to me. It really just is Whitechapel's finest hour. And so yeah, this is our list of our top 5 deathcore albums. Thanks for watching, enjoying. Let us know your favorites. Yeah, bye.